What's up, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Scythe, and today I'm going to be doing my best to try and explain to you all how to forge in Trove, because it's actually a little bit confusing. It's very difficult to explain, but once you understand how to do it, it's actually very, very simple. The new forging mechanic is absolutely awesome. So in order to forge, you're going to need to have a forge, an advanced forge, and a chaos forge. To make all of those, you of course just make them at a crafting table. There is going to be your forge right here in the start here stuff, and then in advanced, they have the advanced forge and the chaos forge. Each of these forges has completely different functions. The normal forge is the basic one that you're going to use to upgrade your equipment over and over and over again. We'll get into that in a minute. The advanced forge is for giving your equipment stronger stat values of what it has on the stat, reducing the required level for the weapon, which is all but useless, because once you get to level 10 you can use anything anyway, which is great. And then of course randomizing your radiant variant. That is of course only for people that have radiant star gear, but we'll get into that in a minute. And then the chaos forge itself randomizes your third and fourth stat values. So the way that works is you come over to the forge. I have a test weapon right here that I'm just gonna show off in the video. You can see on the weapon there is the forge stars, which is the 2 out of 5 stars right at the top that you can see. I can't really move my mouse to actually show you. But then right under where it says melee in red text, you can see shadow level 1. Now, there is all of the noob gear and stuff like that you can actually level all the way up to shadow level gear, but honestly, it's very expensive and not really worth it, because chances are you're going to find some shadow level gear once you end up hitting the U dungeons anyway, so just wait until you have some U gear, and then you can forge it up, and it's a lot cheaper. So once you end up having your shadow level 1 gear, let's just say for example, you can see right here, here's the 2 of 5 stars, so it's going to cost us flux and eyes to upgrade. And every time you upgrade, it adds another star to it. If you upgrade it all the way to 5 stars, then for this example anyway, it's going to cost us 500 flux, which is nice and extra, to actually level this to shadow level 2. Now this is where it starts getting a little bit interesting, because you can actually level this all the way up to shadow level 6, which is called radiant. They call it radiant gear in this game, and that's what actually gets this beautiful video effects, but we'll get into that in a moment. Oh, excuse me, water went down the wrong tube. So you can see right here we got 1, 2, 3 stats. So if we go over to this forge, and if we were willing to, I'm not going to use an pearl right now, a pearl of wisdom. Or no, not pearl of wisdom. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry, I was a little bit confused. So pearl of wisdom. If we would upgrade this right now, but pearl of wisdoms are very expensive. You can actually buy them in game from ships for, I think it's 9k flux or 9k glim. I'm honestly not sure, because I never bought any of these. I just kept finding them out of chaos chests and stuff. But anyway, it would add a 4th stat value. And then once it has 4 stats on a weapon, then any other pearl that you use afterwards will put stars next to your stats. Now what these stars mean is that our physical damage, 2 stars is the maximum amount that you can have. And you can see right here, so our jump, for example, is at no stars. So if we kept upgrading and we got 2 stars on the jump stat, we would probably have like 12 to 15 jump, because it increases whatever the stats are on it. Now if you have a weapon that only has 2 stats, then you will use more pearls and you'll get the second 2 bonus stats, and then from then on it will start adding stars to your equipment. Now if you don't have the if the second 2 stats are not stats that you personally want on it, you can just use the chaos forge to randomize only the 2 bottom stats. Only the 2 bottom stats. So that's why it's good to find a weapon that has 2 base stats that you are looking for, because you cannot randomize those. Also, I will say that it is, you know what? D&D, there you go. Also, I will say, why do I keep getting invites even though I have D&D? Anyways. If you randomize, it's actually pretty cheap. But no matter what, if you randomize, whatever the new stats are automatically locked into the weapon. So you have to be very careful of that. If it's something that you don't actually want to risk, then don't risk it. But otherwise, it's very cheap to randomize anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, once you end up forging a weapon to shadow level 2, just for an example, I'm going to break my flux today just for the sake of this video. Once you get to shadow level 2 and full star, then suddenly, it's going to cost twice forged shadow souls. Now, we have 2 of those right now, and I also have 2 thrice forged Shadow Souls as well. The way that these work is, in order to get these, you're going to have to grind your weapon or armor or whatever it is to Shadow level 2, and then you're going to want to deconstruct it. Once you deconstruct a Shadow level 2 item, you get Shadow Soul level 2. Okay? So let's just, for the sake of this video, let's just waste those right there. Now it is Shadow level 3, and now it costs a crap ton more flux and eyes to actually get it all the way. And if you get this up to 5-star, then you can level it to Shadow level 4. In order to level it to Shadow level 4, you're going to need 2 thrice forged Shadow Souls. And of course, the way that you get those is you forge a piece of equipment up to Shadow level 3, and then you deconstruct that, and you get a thrice forged soul. Now here's where it gets expensive. Because if we would forge this up to Shadow level 4 and 5-star, then we would need 2 4 forged Shadow Souls, which means that you have to get 2 other items to Shadow level 4 and then break them so that you can get the Shadow Souls. See how expensive it's getting? And then once you get it up to Shadow level 5 with 5 stars, then it's ridiculous. Then, in order to get Radiant Gear, you're going to need 3 Penta Souls, which a Penta Soul is a Shadow level 5 item deconstructed into 1 soul. So you're going to need 3 Shadow level 5 items deconstructed in order to get your gear up to Radiant. You see how expensive it is? So right now on the market, you can actually just buy Penta Souls for 15k. They drop out of Dragon's Chest, and honestly, that's the way that I would go. 15k flux, that is to say. I would definitely go that route, because as it stands right now, you get a lot of flux out of Dragon caches. So it's actually not that expensive. Well, I mean, it is expensive, but considering the amount of flux that it's going to cost you to forge gear up to Shadow level 5 in the first place. Now, if you find, just randomly through adventuring, an item that's already Shadow level 4, then maybe you're okay, because then you can probably forge that to Shadow level 5 for moderately cheap and then just deconstruct it. Now, anyway, when you are trying to forge a beautiful Radiant weapon like the one that we have here, of course, this is just a custom style. My normal staff is a Porta Punchbot weird one. Look at that staff is godly, isn't it? But anyway, you're going to want to also go to the Dragon Forge, because you're going to need 3 Penta Souls, 15k a pop. And you're also going to need 3 of these Dragon Flames, which you get from the Dragon Crucible. For those that haven't already seen my Dragon tutorial video, you actually will go to the hub. Oh my goodness. Be careful not to crash, of course, but this game is so buggy that it just keeps happening all the time, man. So anyway, you go to the hub, and then you go down and left to the bottom left. Well, oh, this is the northeast corner. Oh, I kept thinking it was the bottom, because they always make you face south. Anyway, you go into this Dragon Forge area and talk to the Dragon Crucible, and you make yourself a Purifying Dragon Flame. Now, these cost a Dragon Coin, which you get from Dragon Caches. Check out my Dragon tutorial video for how to actually get them. And then it costs Primordial Flames and Radiant Shards. Once you end up getting one of these bad boys, it's actually going to cost you 3 Pentas and 3 Dragon Flames. So very, very expensive to end up getting Radiant Gear. And then on top of that, when you're actually leveling up your Radiant Gear, I actually have 5-star Radiant, so that's awesome. Very, very expensive, because every forged star level for Radiant is going to cost 1 flame each. So it's pretty crazy, man. But then once you actually do end up having your Radiant Gear, you are good, you are great, you are grand. As far as I know and have heard, the devs are working on custom video effects for your Radiant face and Radiant helmet. Not really sure what those are going to be, not really sure if they'll end up making it into the game, we will see. But anyway, once you end up having the video effects on your weapon, say you don't like this one, which I do, but say you don't like it. You go to the Advanced Forge, and then you're going to click on this arrow, and you're going to go to this, the Randomized Radiant Aura. So you can put it in here, and for 75 glim each, you can actually change the video effects. So right now we got Lightning. As far as I know, there's only 5. You got Lightning, you got Frost, you have Undead right here. That's the one that Scythe, of course, always uses. And then Flame, which is a personal favorite of mine, but doesn't really suit our costume. Actually, it looks really, really cool with this with this weapon right here. This is actually a staff that looks like a Oh, that is beautiful. And then, of course, there is the last one that I was already using at the beginning of the video. I might try and find a weapon or something that works with this. I'm not entirely sure what I want my look to be with my staff, but either way, that is forging in a nutshell. I know that this video was a little bit longer, but for a tutorial, but hey, the forging is a little bit confusing. So hopefully you understood everything. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually a lot easier than you would think. It's just very time consuming because of the amount of flux that it takes. But anyway, if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate if you would smack that like button, share, favorite, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I will, of course, reply to it when I get the chance. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Sign on and stay epic. Believe in yourself.